What's going on, AWGFAM? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I haven't told you guys really my story at all. I'm sure some of you are curious. Really where I started and how I got to where I am. So I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into before I joined the Army. Graduated high school in 2008. Bottom of my class. Had zero ambition at all whatsoever. Ended up going to a technical school before I joined the Army. I failed out of that technical school. Tried to find a job in my town, and nobody was hiring at the time. And I mean, I probably put in 20, 30 applications all over the place trying to find a job. Nobody was hiring. So my parents had given me an ultimatum when I was at that point in my life, 18, not really going anywhere. It was either you go to school, you get a job, or you join the military. And at that point, like I said, I wasn't getting any calls back. Nobody was interested in hiring me. So I went and talked to a recruiter. First recruiter I actually talked to was Air Force, which I was interested in the Air Force at first, and then my dumbass told them I had asthma, and they basically banned me from doing any type of special ops. So at that point, that was out of the question for me. I was not going to join the military and not at least be a part of something that was above the norm. So I went and talked to the Marine Corps. I think I talked to the Army first, and the Army was offering bonuses. But I did want to talk to the Marine Corps. And I went and talked to the Marine Corps, and I said, are you guys offering any bonuses? They look at me and go, being a Marine is your bonus. I went, y'all have a good day. Because, look, at the end of the day, I wanted to get paid too. I'm not going to lie. When I joined the Army, I got a $40,000 bonus. My sign-on bonus for $40,000. I got 20 because I chose an MOS where people were dying, and I didn't know that at the time. Of course, that's not disclosed until you get to basic training. Funny how that shit works. So I chose 88 Mike, truck driver. And initially I opted into the 88 Mike, and I was like, I want to know if can I do anything else? Like, can I do 88 Mike with more? Like, I wanted to be special ops, like I said. At least go into something that was specialized. Not special ops per se, but at least specialized. Like I said, I didn't want to be the norm. So I ended up with a option 40 contract, which is a Ranger contract. And I got $20,000 for being an 88 Mike, and I also got $20,000 for a quick ship. I shipped out the day I signed. I was gone in 2 weeks, which really for me, it was the best thing I could have done. You can't get cold feet at that point. You can't at a certain point be like, this isn't for me. I didn't have that option. I was going. And I'm glad I did it that way. Because it got me out of my shit town. It got me away from the shit life I would have had. And so that was in October of 2008. November 5th, 2008. I got to Fort Leonard Wood in good old Missouri. Did basic training there. Was there all the way till February 2009. I graduated. And then I went to El Paso, Texas, Fort Bliss, for my AIT, which is your Advanced Individualized Training. That's what AIT stands for. I want to say it was like 7 weeks out there. End of April-ish is when I left. And from there I went to airborne school. And it's really funny, get to airborne school, and they lost my bags on my flight, so I ended up getting pushed to the next class. I ended up actually meeting, my platoon sergeant was one of the guys who trained me in airborne school. We ended up meeting later on, because I graduated May 1st, 2009 from airborne school. But during that time frame, I lost one of my good friends to a car accident, and then week before, literally I was the Friday before jump week, the last week of airborne school, I lost my grandma. And I got pulled into the office, and all the black hats were in there. That's what you call the instructors for airborne school. They're black hats. And all the black hats were in there. And, we got Red Cross message. Grandma passed away. I started crying, and they're like, you can go ahead and go home, take 10 days, spend the time with your family, but you're going to get recycled. You're going to have to do this over again. Like I said, I was on my last week. I had 1 week left. And my motivation through airborne school was getting to see my grandma, and my grandma getting to see me with that maroon beret. That was my motivation. Hell, even my tan beret. But when I lost my grandma, I ended up graduating airborne school. I didn't go to the funeral. I finished it out. They all knew who I was. So they took it a little easier on me. They knew what I was going through. They knew that they knew it was rough. But they also saw how motivated I was, and they saw that I was dedicated to what I was doing, and that I wanted to be there, and I was going to finish it for my grandma. And that's what I told them. I said, I don't want to leave. I need to finish this out. This is what my grandma would have wanted, was for me to finish this. So I finished it out. I graduated airborne school May 1st. I ended up opting out of my Ranger contract. At that point, I was ready to go home. Like I said, losing 2 people while you're in airborne school, it really, my focus was gone. I mean, it's not an excuse, but at the same time, I was not in the right mental state to make it through Ranger. And here's the thing, when I would have gone to Ranger, it wouldn't have been RASP, as everybody knows it now. I was going into RIP. And if y'all don't know, RIP was hellacious. RIP was notorious for being awful. I was not in the right state of mind at that point to make it through it. So I went home, did my leave. Then my initial orders were to go to Bamberg, Germany. Well, I get to Germany, and they had switched my orders. I was actually going to Vicenza, Italy, to be a part of the 2nd Battalion, 503rd Infantry Fusion Company. Now, if you guys don't know, 2nd Battalion, we have 3 Medal of Honor recipients, and they are all living recipients. All for the same deployment. So, if that doesn't tell you the kind of environment that myself and Edgar, as you guys know him, ex-military criminal. We were one of the most prestigious units in the United States military for the airborne. And like I said, if 3 living Medal of Honor recipients doesn't speak enough, I really don't know what does. From there, I was in Italy for 6 months. Deployed to Afghanistan in December of 2009. We were there till November of 2010. Went through some hell over there. Only way you can describe it, best, worst time of my life. You know, I have a brotherhood and a bond with the men and women I serve with that I will never have with anybody. After we got back, I'm not gonna lie, I struggled pretty hard with alcohol. Was in Italy another 6 months, and I was pretty rough alcoholic then. Most mornings showed up to formation, drunk, could barely stand. Had to have people hold me up in formation. After that, I ended up PCSing, which means I changed my duty station, and I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and that was where I spent the remainder of my career in the military. I hit my 3-year mark, and I re-upped. I did another 3 years. I hit my 3-year mark, signed up for another 3, realized a week afterwards it was one of the worst decisions I had ever made. At Bragg, I was with Special Warfare Training Group. It was JFK. It's John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School. So my job was I transported troops to their training for Special Forces. So I saw all aspects of the Special Forces training. Got to work with some awesome guys in the Special Forces. The cadre out there were awesome. For the most part, I got treated like a human being, which was a lot different than what I had experienced in the military, hence why I enjoyed it so much when I first got there, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to re-up. Well, of course you re-up right as there was a change of command, and the command sucked. They were awful. Now my thing, while I was in, you guys can't already tell, I had a mouth. That's never changed. My entire time I was in, I had a mouth. Before I joined, I had a mouth. I've had a mouth most of my life. Being in that unit, I was prevented from being promoted because I was outspoken against things that were not right. If it wasn't right, I spoke out. They don't take kindly to that. So I was held at E4 for the rest of my career in the military. They never wanted to send me to promotion board. That's actually where, while I was in North Carolina, I got injured. Ended up blowing my elbow out. I was wrestling with my best friend back home, Sam. As you guys know, it's the middle name of my soon-to-be son. Sam and I were extremely intoxicated, and we were wrestling. And Sam went to take me down, and he thought he put his knee in the back of my behind my back right here, my shoulder, and he actually put it on my arm and he cranked my elbow. And my elbow didn't go backwards this way, it went at an angle this way, and I ended up tearing my UCL. It was a partial tear. Went back. Ended up in a full arm cast for 2 months. Got out of the cast. Did all my physical therapy afterwards. Was told I was at 100%. I was good to go. No more problems. Started working out. Got back into shape. I actually started looking really good, and I started prepping to go to the selection course for Special Forces. Well, of course, we decided we were going to go on a run through the pitch black woods of North Carolina at 5:30 in the morning. While we're running, I stepped in a pothole and rolled my ankle, and I fell. When I fell, I put my left arm out. And this time my arm gave out, and I ended up tearing my UCL fully. My elbow went completely backwards. I fell on top of my arm. Got up and finished the fucking run. But I got back, and they decided we're going to do overhead arm claps. And if you don't know what that is, where you do this, well, I went to go up, and this half of my arm went up, and this part of my arm stayed stationary, and my arm just went down. This portion went down while this portion went up, and somebody saw it, and I was like, oh! And they were like, oh my god. So I ended up going back. It was literally a 9-month fight for me to go and see a surgeon about my arm. Finally ended up having my surgery, and at this point I had been on profile. By the time I had my surgery, it got out. About a month or two afterwards, I want to say, is when I hit almost 2 years of being on profile for my arm. And they said, hey, you're getting med boarded. We're getting you out. And I was just like, at that point, I could have fought it, but the politics in the military, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't sit there and listen to the way these kids would bitch, whine, and moan about shit. Having to care about people's feelings and telling me that I couldn't talk the way that I talk and be who I am. And I said, fuck you. That's not who I am. If you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. If you don't like the way I talk, fuck you. I don't care. I'm not going to censor myself for you. I'm not going to try to make you feel a type of way about me. I don't fucking care. You don't like me, fuck you. That's why I have the friends that I have. But, ended up getting med boarded. Got out the army. Went back home. And stayed at home for a few months, and I had set up school up here in Ohio at a school called Ohio Technical College. Went up here, got up here. The first course I went through was welding. Did a year of welding, and as I was getting done with it, I was like, I like having welding, but it's not what I want to do forever. And at that point, the money had started really dwindling on welding. At one point, welding was a good way to go, but the only way to make money by the time I got out of school was underwater. And the risk to reward was not worth it to me. I'd already risked my life, so the odds were not in my favor. So I decided I was going to do another course while I was there. And I ended up being automotive and diesel repair. which I graduated welding school on a Friday, and the next Monday I started my second course at that school. And my first course was a year, my second course was a year and a half, and I did 2.5 years straight of school while I was there. Walked out with certifications in 4 different fields. Welding, automotive, and diesel repair, and HVAC. So I got out, went and joined a forklift company up here, worked there for about 9 months, and I was like, they started telling me to do things that I didn't agree with, that felt like if it came up, if somebody got hurt because of what I was doing, because it didn't seem like it was by the books to me, I could have ended up in prison. Because if somebody got hurt or killed, that comes back on me. It's my signature on the paperwork, and I was not comfortable with people telling me to do things that didn't seem right. So I ended up leaving that company and going to the current company I'm at now, which is I do industrial pump repair. I'm very mechanically inclined. Basically anything you put in my hands, I'll figure out how to fix it. Or make it. Or make it better. That's something else that I really do enjoy. I've got an architecture mind. I like taking things that people have done and building off of it. Because I can look at it and be like, well, if we do this could work to, enhance the product, better the product. That's my mentality. I look at something, I'm like, how can I make this better? What can I do to make this better? It's how my mind works. So, did that, and that's how I am where I am now. Just a lot of hard work and sacrifice, and if you guys don't know, I'm up till usually 1, 2, maybe even 3 in the morning sometimes, and then I got to be up at 6 to go to work the next day. So I don't get much sleep anymore. I really want this YouTube thing to take off. I'm enjoying what I do here. This is something that I had initially started trying to do a YouTube channel, and I think I could have done well back then, but working with the Special Forces then, I didn't have a set schedule. I didn't have weekends off. I worked most weekends, actually. I didn't have a constant off time period. And back then, I still had a lot of problems that I hadn't tried to sort out. I was still struggling pretty heavily with alcohol back then. And if you guys obviously don't know, but I don't drink very much anymore. I'll drink a beer or two when I'm doing these videos, because it helps me relax a little bit, be a little bit better for the camera, better for you guys. Kind of lets me unleash a little more, because I'm a little more reserved than what you guys see on camera. In person, I'm usually a pretty quiet person. Don't really talk a lot. I'm a huge introvert. 99% actually introvert. But I mean, I had a lot that I had to figure out in my head. I had to get right with a lot of things. But not only get right with a lot of things, but figure out myself. Because leaving the military was one of the hardest things that I ever did. Legitimately, probably the hardest thing I ever did was leaving the military, having friends around you all the time, to going to being the only person. When I moved up here, I had nobody. I was by myself the whole time. And there was a good period of time where I would say close to 2 years where I just secluded myself from everybody, and I spent a lot of time in front of the mirror looking at myself and saying, you know, what's going on with you? What's your deal? You know, wrote a lot of things down, you know, just trying to figure out what was going on in my own head. I've seen therapists, couple. Look, you're not a bitch for doing it. I'll tell you that right now. Helped me sort out a lot of shit going on in my head. Helped me learn a lot about myself. But honestly, most of the work came down to me. Sitting in front of that mirror and just saying, who do you want to be? Because I wasn't a great person. I was kind of a shitty fucking person back then. But I worked really hard to not be that shitty person. But at the same time, I also got to a great place. I really did. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how to deal with my issues. I put the bottle down. That was the first thing I did. When I left North Carolina and got out of the Army, that was when I had made my decision that it was time to put the bottle down. I stopped drinking as heavily as I was back then. I tell you, I'm not playing when I say I used to put down at least 2 bottles a night. So I had some issues back then. And that doesn't even equate to how much money I blew in Italy on alcohol. But, yeah, that's kind of my story, guys. It's not too interesting. Definitely not a story like Edgar has. I had a mouth, but I also didn't go on another tour overseas, and I didn't go through what Edgar went through, because that really changes you. It puts a different fear in your mind. And I am lucky enough to not have to live with that. There is a little more to my story. I don't know. I'm still trying to get right if I'm gonna divulge the rest. Just some stuff that happened on deployment. Stuff that really was what I was working through. I'm still trying to come to grips with a lot of it to this day. But I've learned how to deal with it a lot better than I was then. Alcohol is definitely not it. And that's honestly something I want to tell all vets. Look, alcohol is not the way to go. Alcohol, I learned, was taking me back down those paths every night. Making me relive all that shit every night. Making me think about shit that I didn't need to be thinking about. But yeah, that's my story, guys. Just like some of the shit I like playing video games. I would love to get this channel to a point where I could do some streaming, some video game streaming, me actually playing. Hell, I would love to make this full time. This would be fucking awesome full time. I would love to do this full time. I would stream all the time. I really would. It'd probably be 5 days a week I'd be streaming. Y'all would get to see my face all the time. And hear my mouth. Because apparently that's why you guys like coming in here. I'm kidding. I appreciate the love. I do. I've never felt a love that I'm feeling from you guys. It's been a long time since I've felt love like that. So, I really appreciate you guys. You guys are the fucking best. Like, I'm excited to see where this goes. And I'm going to keep putting all my work and dedication that I can into this, along with my family. Which, I don't know if you guys know, but when I get home from work, I spend my time with my family. My kids go to bed. And then I'm coming down here and I start recording most nights. And then, like I said, I'm up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning editing. And then it's bedtime. Something that I always say, you got to make sacrifices to get somewhere. And I've got to make sacrifices now. If that's some sleep, it's fine by me. If you got to sacrifice sleep to get to where you want to be, you got to sacrifice sleep to get to where you want to be. And I would like to go somewhere with this. It will be awesome. Like I said, I really enjoy doing this. I like being able to speak out on what I'm seeing. There's not very many platforms that you can do that on. Hence why I don't have Facebook. I can't be a part of a platform that silences truth. I can't be a part of anything that silences truth. But I am a nerd at heart. Love Marvel. Love drumming. Music. You name that. I enjoy it. I enjoy pretty much everything. I really do. I enjoy having hard conversations with people. I enjoy having honest conversations with people. Honesty is key. And it took me a long time to understand that too. Honesty was one of those things that I had problems with when I was younger. But that's my story, guys. You know how it goes. Leave me some love. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you, AWGFAM and my XMCFAM. I'm out.